Well, I'm going to give you one good reason not to drive on winter tires in the summer. One good reason is they melt, believe it or not. Not normally, not normally. If you're not going long distances or high speeds for long periods of time in the summer, I don't think you'd have too much of a problem driving winter tires in the summer. I know they don't handle as good. They don't stop as good and all that. They're really made for winter time. Below 50 degrees, there's a different compound in the rubber it's a softer rubber on a tire, so it's not made for driving above 50 degrees. Not to say that they're going to melt right away or anything, but let me say this. I was taking a ride up to Georgia from Florida, and before I did that, I checked my tires, right? So it's going to check the inflation, and the tire tread on the old tires looked fine. And all of a sudden, I start noticing cracks on the sidewalls, and I says, "Oh God!" So I had four tires already mounted on another set of rims. Two were Firestone Winter Force, almost brand new, and the two in the front I put were brand new Cooper Weathermaster, I believe they were. And I think the ones in the back have survived the long drive. So I took a long drive up to Georgia, and I'm doing 75 miles an hour, middle of the day, 90 something degrees out, and of course the sun's beating down on the highway, and the highway's hot. It's not like, so, in other words, that's not really what winter tires are for. Now, if I was only going maybe 50, 60 miles, if it wasn't traveling on an interstate or whatever, or traveling on the interstate even for 50, 60 miles might not have been a problem. I think the fact that I was driving more than a few hours, middle of the day, and all you got to do is hit one bump, one sharp object in the road, and that was enough to deform the tire. And it's not something I could actually see, but I noticed on the way back I had a little bit of a shimmy in the front, and even when I was doing low speed turns, the wheel would pulse a little bit. It's going even about 20 miles an hour. So that's actually not a problem where the tire is now out of balance again. That's actually, if you're getting below 30 mile an hour shaking, especially around a turn, that's some problem either in the tire, the rim, the tire itself, not a balancing problem, a damaged tire, the rim, or a suspension problem, or a CV joint, constant velocity joint. So, pull the tire off today, and I checked the CV joints and the tie rods. Everything's tight. So I threw another tire on the front, just on one side that seemed to be the worst. Smoothed out immensely. So obviously it was the tire, and the other tire that's on the left side, it is screwed up too, because there's still a little bit of a shaking in the wheel, but most of it went away. Most of it was the right tire. But those are brand new tires, and they were winter tires. And I'm not knocking on Cooper, Weathermaster or nothing. I think they're great tires. It's just that you really can't haul. It just happened to be that I had them mounted on rims, and I figured, I'm going to just do this because I was going to go make this trip. So I figured I'd throw those tires on there, not thinking, and they were fine. I mean, you could do 80 miles an hour. They were rolling fine in the beginning, but by the time I was making my way back, I thought either there was a problem with the CV joint or there's a problem with the tires or something, even though they were brand new. The winter tires, if you drive them in the summertime, if you're driving around town, you're not going to melt them, unless you're in Arizona or something. You're not going to have a problem, even if you're on maybe the interstate going 75 miles an hour, if you're not driving for like really long distances. Maybe if you go 20 miles on the interstate or even 40 or 50 miles, maybe you're not going to have a problem. But if you're going more than a couple hundred miles, you're out there on the road for a few hours, that's enough to do it, especially in the middle of the day with the sun beating down on the road. Because, there's examples where even trucks, and I think this is in Australia, but you can hear it, this even commonly happens in Arizona sometimes. Let's say commonly, let's say sometimes in Arizona, where even if you're not driving with winter tires and you got the regular summer tires on, tires can get melted from the high heat of the road, and maybe it's some certain brands that are more susceptible to that. But if you're driving winter tires, and like I said, I only kept them around because if I was going up north, I might need them. I was making a trip up north. I kept these on a set of rims, so I throw those on if I was going to make a trip up north in the wintertime. But I happen to just, I happen to need them, and so now I ordered some all-season tires. I'm going to put those on the other rims, which are the 17-inch rims, and the ones that are stock rims are 15-inch rims. It's on a Chevy. So, but they will melt. I mean, if you look on Google, they don't say nothing about that, but they actually, these tires are brand new. I mean, 200 miles or something like that. The front one's definitely screwed up. I'm not sure about the back ones, but they're a different brand. They're Firestone Winter Force. They might have been, they're slightly used, hardly any, but I could tell the Firestone Winter Force rubber is a little stiffer than the Coopers, which means I don't know which one works better in the snow, but I wasn't driving in the snow. I was driving in the summertime, blasting down the interstate, and I'll tell you, man, you're not gonna have a problem if you're driving around town. I mean, they're not the best thing. I know most people won't do that, though. I mean, if you go down to Florida, you're not gonna even find people that sell winter tires. I mean, maybe they have to order them special. South Georgia, you're probably not going to find anybody even sells winter tires, unless you're talking, for a Jeep or a 4x4. Then it would actually be an all-terrain tire or a mud tire or something like that. But I ordered these online, so they were fine though in the beginning. There was no shaking, no problem or nothing. But they literally, from the excess heat of the road, and 93 to 94 degrees or whatever it was outside, summertime, Florida, or basically the end of summer, but still, well, I guess it was after summer, September, but not much after summer. 90-something degrees out, the sun's baking down on the road, sunny day. I guess, if it was raining out, I probably wouldn't have had any problem. But it wasn't raining out, so the heat was on the road from the sun. And here I'm driving 75 or whatever it is down the interstate for a few hours. Didn't notice any problem in the beginning. By the time I came back, they're screwed up. And I wasn't sure at first if it was the tires. I thought maybe a suspension problem developed or a CV joint got a problem. And, the shaking actually, it's like something you can't fix with balancing. Because if a tire is even out of balance, you're not going to notice nothing at 20 miles an hour. If you feel some kind of shaking in the wheel, especially if you're going around a turn at 20 miles an hour, that's either a suspension component, a bent rim, or a bad tire. When you're talking low speeds like that, and it turns out it's a bad tire. So, and that only happened from using winter tires in the summer, which I know you're not supposed to do. They wear out faster. I didn't care about that because I was only going for, I'm usually 500 miles total or something. I didn't care about that too much, and I figured, well, just for this one trip, it was no big deal. But that was enough to melt them. And I know people sometimes they come from Canada and they go all the way down to Florida, and they drive on their winter tires. In the wintertime, they might be coming down from Canada, but then again, when they're coming down to Florida in the wintertime, you're not getting 90-degree heat. You might get, daytime, it might be in the 70s. And if you're talking like at nighttime, you're down in the 40s. So that's not going to damage the tires. It's like that extra so many degrees with the hot sun. Freaking melted them. Can't believe it. And if you look online, you'll never find this unless you're looking up Arizona or something like that. But, I guess you could use winter tires a little bit in the summer, but, they're not as safe. They don't stop as fast. But then, they'll still work. But if you're going to take a long trip in the summertime with winter tires on, more than likely you're going to trash them. Unless you get what they call is, they have all season, and they have now another brand, another type they call all weather. And I think what I'm going to do next time, if I get something mounted on those second rims, I'm going to get all weather tires, because if I happen to have to use them in the summertime, I'm hoping they don't melt. But I do have 4 new tires all season coming. I forget what the hell brand I got, but something pretty good. I don't know, I think they're Japanese made or Federals or something. I don't know what the hell they are, but something pretty good. I was going to get Coopers, but it's just, Cooper. Now I realize I better not take my El Camino out on a long drive, because I have 4 snow tires on those things. 4 Cooper Weathermaster snow tires on that, and I would trash every single one of them, even though they're almost brand new. But I don't really drive that thing too far. Sometimes I'll drive it. I drive it sometimes a couple 100 miles each way, but that's not enough to screw them up. But if you're out there in the sun, 200 miles or so, and you're going about 75 miles an hour the whole time, maybe, say you're going 55, 60, maybe you could handle driving a couple 100 miles. But if you're going about 75, that's just enough to melt them, especially if you hit a bump. You hit a bump, and the rubber on that winter tire gets a little too soft. It's permanently deformed. Can't do nothing about it. And like I said, I was surprised by that. Totally surprised by that. I did not think they could get damaged like that. And you'll never see this on the internet anywhere listed, but it actually is true. It did happen to me just now, and I know why. They're balanced fine. Everything was fine with them when I left, and I think, like I said, the rubber that's in the winter tires is designed for below 50 degrees. And yeah, you could use them in 70 degrees or 80 or even 90. But I guess if you're driving down the road for, a couple 100 miles or more, doing 75 miles an hour in the middle of the day, when it's real sunny out and the road is hot, and you're just out there for like 3 hours driving, and that's enough to put it over the edge where it goes past its tolerance. And then the first time you hit like a bump on a highway, it doesn't blow up the tire or anything, but it could knock it out of spec or something, or put some kind of damage to it. And that's exactly what happened. So, if I would actually stop the car for an hour or so or whatever, let things cool down or whatever, 15 minutes or something, probably wouldn't have had a problem. But it's amazing. And you won't hear this on the internet, but it's absolutely true. But I don't know how many people do this. Like I said, down in Florida, or I guess the only person that would do this is somebody from up in Canada. But if they're coming down from Canada, they're usually, if they've got winter tires on, they'd be coming down in the wintertime. And if you're coming all the way down to Florida, driving, they probably wouldn't have a problem, because it's not going to be 90 degrees in the wintertime down there in Florida. Unless, well, I don't know, maybe it could be if you're down far south Florida, but not normally. Normally it's in the 70s. That would be enough, where it's not going to melt the tire or damage it. But, man, surprised the hell out of me. So I figured I'd just post this, because that's a big reason not to drive winter tires in the summer. If you get them really heated up on a long drive on a highway, you can really totally damage them and trash them, not just wear them out. And that's just what happened to me. Over and out.